What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video, and in this video we gotta talk about some actually insane things. First off, everyone gets a D rank, and we're gonna be comparing the Valorant rank distribution from August to now, and talk about all the crazy rank changes and what that means for you. Then we're gonna talk about running and gunning news, where C9 Relics breaks it all down for us, including some actually absurd clips of TENS going on the zipline and clicking people's heads. And we got all that plus more, so make sure you watch to the end. Before this holiday season, you deserve some free SR and a rank up. So the GameLeap website has a special 50% off sale to give you everything you need in order to climb. From in-depth Radiant guides to advanced tips and tricks, we got it all on the website down below. So do yourself a favor, don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now first off, we gotta talk about the brand new rank distribution. But before we show you the new graph, let's take a look at the old graph from August 2020, where you get to see the rank distribution as it stood. And in this graph, you saw the bulk of players being in gold 1 and 2, and it petered out from there, with the mass amount of players being in the middle ranks and a lot less players being on both ends of the spectrum, whether you were in the high rank or the low ranks. Now that being said, let's cross-reference that with the brand new rank tier distribution here, and you can look at a profound difference. Yes, there's still a really small amount of people at the higher ranks, in fact even smaller than before, but a lot of the people in gold got distributed down to silver, bronze, and iron, with a giant amount of people being iron 1. Now, there are really two big reasons for this giant disparity in the rank distribution between now and between all the way back in August. First off, we just gotta talk about the new resets and the fact that a lot of players have to re-fight back for the ranks after, getting D-ranked by several ranks in a row, plus an ongoing constant flux of new players. This automatically just makes a lot of the top ranks more competitive as more people flush into the game, plus a lot of the newer players get, evened out through some of the lower ranks, and it overall balances the rank tier distribution. But in my opinion, the biggest reason for this giant disparity is Riot's new change to how far away you can be in rank to play with your friends. Remember, a while back, Valorant made a patch that made it so you can only play 3 individual skill tiers apart at the maximum. So, for instance, a gold 1 could only play with as high as a plat 1 with these new changes. Now, regardless of whether or not you think that this is a good or bad idea, the ramifications of this are pretty clear when people are just not gonna listen to what Riot tells them to do. Riot says, hey, you can't play 3 skill tiers apart. Well, now I'm gonna make an ult and play with my buddies anyway. At least that's what a lot of people probably did, and that's why there's an influx of a lot of these low rankings, most likely from people that really shouldn't belong in these ranks. Now, I know a lot of people have been messaging me and a lot of people have been talking in the comments about what it's like to be a low-ranked player, someone struggling in iron and bronze and silver, and it feels like every single game, it's either they win because there's a smurf on their side, or they lose because there's a smurf on the enemy team, and that's just how the games really feel to them. And I really think that it's on to Riot's shoulders to try to do something about this smurfing problem. You never want to have players feel like their own wins or losses are out of their control, which I think this smurfing problem is contributing to. However, I'm not entirely sure what is the solution. If you allow players to play really vast distance apart in ranked, then you're gonna have a problem automatically where some players are just feel like they're getting carried in their games, and there's gonna be a really high ranked player, like imagine a diamond player playing with like a silver 3 player. You can see how that automatically creates a problem. But in the current system, people are really incentivized to just make smurfs. So I don't really think that there's a perfect solution here outside of really hardline stances, for instance, like SMS confirmation to play ranked, which would probably just hurt the game in the long run, so I don't think they would ever implement something like that. But if you have an idea of something that they could do to solve this smurfing problem, but at the same time making a fair and balanced rank system, I would really be interested in that. Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Now, the next thing we gotta talk about is running and gunning news, which is an ever-expanding story that really started with TENS showcasing just how accurate it was to just run around with the Phantom and click people in the head for medium range. It was way too accurate, and with TENS talking about how broken it was, it really opened up the floodgates, because before, when players would bring it up, A lot of players on Reddit and places like that would say, well, pros aren't abusing it, or pros don't think it's broken, so obviously it's not broken. But with tens basically coming forward and saying, this is a really broken thing that I'm going to be abusing in pro matches, it really opened that floodgates that we talked about, and Seed9 Relics actually made a follow-up clarifying a lot of the problems and giving smart solutions to developers and actionable tips for us players. Now to sum it up, basically Relics is going to show evidence of running and gunning being broken, and he specifically talks about how Riot has allowed specific mechanics to be in the game to make it easier for new players, but it lowers the skill ceiling and it makes the game not as competitive as an esport, and running and gunning is one of the problems that have occurred from that. Specifically, something that he actually points out that I find really interesting is that there's a 30% movement speed threshold where you could essentially jiggle left and right and still shoot enemies extremely accurate while being hard to shoot yourself. Now that being said, I can't explain how to abuse this quite like he does, so let's roll the clip so you know exactly what you could do every single time to incorporate this tip into your games.
But what it is that you're actually better off firing after you begin moving in the opposite direction than firing when you come to a complete stop. As long as you are at 30% or less of the maximum movement speed, you will still be accurate. And what this means is that you can strafe from out of cover and begin firing as you're strafing back to the cover, and you pretty much receive no penalty. You're harder to hit because you're moving and you're still accurate.
Now, a really interesting point he makes in his breakdown is that he argues running and gunning or movement accuracy should be saved for things like pistols, SMGs, and shotguns, in a quote stating that you forgo range and power for mobility, which is a philosophy that I wholeheartedly agree on most weapons, outside of things that I think need a little bit of balance like the classic pistol right click, but that's not for this video. But I really do understand what he's saying, that weapons like the Phantom in particular have insane power level and damage stopping power, and to give that weapon so much mobility leeway is just absolutely unacceptable according to Relic. Now there was some big part of this that Relic actually forgot to mention, but he clarifies it in the comment. First off, a comment stated this: what Relic forgets to mention when he talks about running and then slamming shift to walk and have a high accuracy with somewhat high mobility. A very similar thing happens when you get slowed down when you get tagged. That means when you miss a headshot and start spraying someone's body, you are making that person slower, but you're also making them more accurate if they're still trying to move. Now, Relic responded to this on Reddit stating this: yeah, I forgot to talk about tagging aiding accuracy. If you go experiment with the sprinting Phantom in DM, you'll notice that sometimes you swing wide spraying. Someone tags you a bit and slows you down, which makes you more accurate, and you kill them because the tagging slowing you down makes you a lot more accurate, essentially. Now, this is a really interesting conversation, but if you want to see the big picture, I would highly suggest watching Relic's full video. It's going to be in the comments down below. It's an amazing breakdown in the entire situation, and the more people that are talking about this, the more likely that we could see changes and see Valorant be a much more high ceiling based game, which will make it more competitive as an esport, and most of us would like much more consistency. As long as we learn the skill set and actually provide skills to certain scenarios, we will win a giant percentage of the time if we're more skilled, rather than there being a large amount of RNG or random number generator aspect into these duels. But as with everything, you gotta let me know in the comments down below what you think of the entire situation. Now, of course, we have a clip of 10 showcasing some broken shit again, and I really want to show it. I'm just gonna play the clip and then we're gonna talk about it after the fact.
We need a little more guys. Hey, can everybody just get on it right now?
What the fuck? Dude, this is ridiculous.
We need more people. Come on. Get on.
What?
Dude, just spray the wall or something. I don't know. Ready? I'm not off. No, there's no way that should be allowed. Remove the zipline.
So yes, this might not happen a giant percentage of the time. This might happen very infrequently. However, the fact of the matter is, this can happen, and it does happen. If you've seen the clip, you know that this can happen some percentage of the time. And in my personal opinion, that is absolutely unacceptable, at least for rifles. Now, maybe if you're rocking something like a Stinger or a Spectre, there could be an argument there. But in general, if you are on a zip line, you should not be any bit accurate with an AR. Now, there was actually a comment that I somewhat agreed with, but I really want to hear the community's take on this, and it was down below that stated, I think zipline should be pistol only or no gun at all. That'll fix a lot of the problems because even in Split, people just hold a ramp to heaven entrance with rope and headshot angles and just drop off as they shoot. It's definitely annoying to deal with. Now, personally, I would actually love this change. I feel like maybe having only pistols or only your secondary on the ziplines is a good way to make them balanced in general, and it's no way to abuse them like people are doing, like he said on Split. And of course, now with the 10 zipline thing, you should not be that accurate ever when using an AR. But definitely let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Do you think it's not really a big deal? Do you think it's just infrequent enough to where it's fine? Or would you rather just have it so where you can't have a gun on the zipline at all? No matter what zipline you're using, you have to put away your gun. I really want to hear your opinion about all of that in the comments down below. Now, the last thing that we got to talk about is the Champions Tour got announced, which is a huge tournament block that is going to happen throughout the course of 2021. That is a cascade of tournaments that lead into one another that eventually lead up to a giant international event. Now, for this Champions Tournament, we will not know if we will have an international event yet, but let me explain how the tournaments work so that you understand for the future, because there's still going to be the tournaments even if it's not going to be international. So basically, there's going to be these big challenger events that you're going to have to qualify through open events, just like with First Strike. So imagine a whole bunch of open events that just happen randomly. Whatever is deemed qualifying as an open event, maybe some random org hosts it and Riot says that's an open event that will qualify you for these challenger events. You make it to these challenger events, and if you do well in those, you can qualify for the Masters events. And Masters events are going to be national events that are going to eventually be held at international LAN events. So here's the dream, and I'm going to paint it for you, a pretty picture. And this is your goal, right? If you want to be in esports, you climb to Radiance, no big deal, right? And then you start a team of all people just like you. You pop off and qualify to a challenger event through the open, and you pop off again and qualify for a Masters through the challenger. Now you're going to be playing on an international stage, probably going to get signed, and you're going to be a pro gamer for life. That's a pretty easy dream, right? No big deal. But this is really important for you to understand the order of operations to things for the Champions Tournament. And of course, because of COVID, there's going to be some delays right now with the international aspect, but I cannot wait for international events. I cannot wait for NA versus EU. And then of course, Korea is going to come out of nowhere and win the whole thing. But go to the GameLeap website right now because we have our special 50% off holiday sale where you can get all the goodness, in-depth guides, advanced file reviews, in-depth tips and tricks at a fraction of the cost. Do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But thank you so much for coming by. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time.